You're keenly aware of it, and you're keenly aware of it from a standpoint of, hey, let's get him here and see what we can. Yeah, man, it's hard for me to say. I would say if there's somebody that I would, one person I had to pick, I think it would be Oba at this point.
Finally, the heel has come back to advocate.
Well, I'll tell you what, besides Liv Morgan, it's been a tough crowd.
Because it seems the heel's advocate has to make this video because a customary tradition has become in the WWE after every single PLE. Now, we used to have press conferences, you know what I'm saying? We used to have that where like Triple H would, go out and he would say like, oh yeah, this was a record-breaking gate. This was a story. Does it feel like WrestleMania yet? Does it feel like WrestleMania season yet? Are you enjoying the show? It's all part of the show, man. Now, he used to do all of that, right? In front of a very tamed crowd. Pretty much every single person that was about to ask a question in that press conference room is, like either an industry plant or is not going to ask the tough questions. Now, you don't have that anymore, right? So we have to rely on this, the post shows for every single PLE. So, it just seems that every single time Triple H comes out, the fans just eat him up alive. But I've never seen it to this extent. Now, there have been many frustrations going into this event. And let's just hear it from this point onward.
Of those names you just mentioned, who jumped off the page to you the most? And that's a tough...
The crowd is chanting Y2J, Y2J. So, honestly, I expected that man to come back. I genuinely did. You know what I'm saying? If you were to Google his contract with AEW was about to expire at the end of 2025, and, that just seemed to be a customary thing. But, to my surprise, I went on the AEW roster website and, well, look at yourself. This freaking guy is still on the website. I was like, how is this possible? I thought this guy was about to be, done. You know what I'm saying? I thought this, his contract was up. I don't believe he has been on TV either. I don't know where these rumors start. You know what I'm saying? So, to that, I have to say, all right, maybe we've kind of worked ourselves into a shoot, but this wouldn't excuse this right here.
Who can break down the walls and claim the gold? Who can break down the walls and claim the gold?
So clearly, either the WWE was trolling us with that, or they're simply, baiting us into tuning in. Now, that whole thing where Adam Pearce said, break the walls down, who can break down the walls and get down the gold, that was pretty much teased for, I believe it was either the match between Braun Breaker and CM Punk on the Raw Netflix debut episode with Stranger Things. I believe that was that episode, or it wasn't too far from that either. Now, this whole thing led into this frustration right here. The fans are sick and tired of it, bro. I am sick and tired of it. I don't want to watch PLEs anymore just for the simple fact that we genuinely already know what's going to happen. If we were going to look at the entirety of the, the entire episode of the Royal Rumble this year, we genuinely didn't have any real potential winners. And so we have to default to Roman Reigns. And a lot of people got upset at this, right? I mean, we didn't get Y2J. This right here is an edited picture. But this is exactly what we could have had. Now, obviously, Y2J is not this fat anymore. He lost some weight. He's in good shape now. But come on. It is really something that I believe the WWE could have done. And I don't know what's going on with AEW and Chris Jericho. But I believe in the near future, either somewhere near the Chamber or leading into the WrestleMania 42 event, I believe that we will see Y2J back. But it is really unfortunate not having him back. Now, let's talk about the disastrous event that happened at the Royal Rumble. Now, a lot of people talked about how empty the event was, and a lot of people were coping, right? They were saying, well, yeah, it's all about these LED boxes. And if you look closely, you will see people sitting there. Yeah, obviously, I will see people sitting here. But what about, here? I'm saying over, down in the bottom over here as well, on the left side, right? We're going to see this, boom, I'm saying? It's everything really looked to be very empty, and no matter how much they tried to pan the cameras around and make it seem like it was packed, it really wasn't. And a lot of people talked about, yeah, this was also the case at the Money in the Bank. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Money in the Bank. And this right here is a female Money in the Bank match. And if you would look around, yeah, you will see these little LEDs, yada, yada, yada. But this is right here, the same exact arena that was at the very first Raw Netflix episode. This right here is the Intuit Dome, right? You can look at the top right here. It's like this 360 camera you know, like 360 panel LED screen that, like, you know, pans around. That is like all it was. I don't know how you can compare. This is clearly, I mean, like, if not close to sold out, you know, at least 90% capacity, 95% capacity, bro. And this right here is the opening Royal Rumble match for the female division. And you can clearly look around and see, all right, this, you know, this zone over here is completely filled out. This portion of the arena is filled out as well. But then you look at the middle rows, that's kind of like not filled. And you can like see, like, you know, some people over here as well when they shine the light. And you can see like, oh yeah, people over here as well. But clearly for a big pay-per-view that is the second biggest pay-per-view entire year, this was a laughable opening, like, show out. I mean, look at the entirety of the crowd. Like, you can see usually people maybe kind of like blocking the lights a little bit or here and there, but no, like, you know what I'm saying, it genuinely was very empty. And mind you, this was SmackDown, right? This right here was SmackDown in the same arena, right? And this was packed. This was SmackDown. I don't understand where people are getting this idea from, that like, oh yeah, it was just because of the lights. Well, you know, oh man, like, I get you want to make excuses, you don't want to make it like seem that bad, but like every single time they pan into the crowd, that was the only thing I could think of. Like, damn, this was like really empty at the beginning. Now by the end of the night, it was, you know, getting a little bit more packed, but still like, look at this right here over here. You know, you can't really say this was like 100% capacity. You cannot do that, bro. All right, or you're gonna like simply like insult our intelligence. And so there was also, like, you know, video footage of the people inside of the arena shot some things over there. And let's take a look at that right now. Right, so this video right here is saying like whoever decided to put the LEDs over each seat should be getting fired. Now, yeah, right, it doesn't really look that pretty. I get the appeal, but you know, even this guy is zooming in, you can see these seats are just not filled, bro. Right, like, you can put the blame on the white boxes, bro, but come on, like, to what extent? This is like a at least 30,000-40,000 capacity arena, I would believe, but it isn't. It is not full at all. Okay, and this is like the organizer Turkey Al Sheikh before and after, and boom, right? This looks more like it, right? I think this was like at the end of the Royal Rumble or that. Yeah, see it, like, you know, with the Las Vegas drone show. This was at the end of the show when Roman won, and yeah, you know, he just pointed at the WrestleMania sign. Yeah, this was near the end of the and damn, bro, that was it. Look, let's just read the comments. And this was during the event. It was embarrassing, the amount of empty seats. 25,000. Come on, bro. Come on. This was 25,000 seats. I mean, it's so hard to believe, bro. Another big gripe fans have had during this event, and this is something that just keeps on stacking on top of one another, right? It's a lackluster build-up. I didn't even really feel as if it was Royal Rumble season. Hell, I wonder what's going to be feeling like next year. If The Rock is not going to be involved, then it's going to be really hard to sell the idea that it is going to be the WrestleMania season. But nonetheless, for this specific event in Riyadh, Royal Rumble, it didn't feel like the Royal Rumble to me, all right? And then going into it, we've had the storyline with AJ Styles and Gunther, right? The Yin General Gunther. The Yin General Gunther. Ying, 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 ying. Gunther, Daddy General Gunther. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that whole ordeal, bro. You're talking to me about a match between AJ and Gunther that somehow has AJ Styles' career on the line, and he loses? Then can you genuinely blame the fans for saying, we want Vince, you effed up, you know what I'm saying, you suck, we want Jericho, all this stuff? Can you really blame the fans for turning their backs on Triple Fraud, bro? Come on. And then Triple H has the audacity to say this.
Me, the only conversation that needs to happen with AJ Styles right now is respect, tribute, and thank you.
What kind of respect are we talking about, though? Okay, what kind of respect is it when somebody who has went on and said that he wants to retire by the time they're 50, right? When they turn 50, he said this on numerous occasions.
Like seeing that. That's what I'm going to miss when it's over, right? Just seeing people do really well and find a way to get to the top.
Do you want to wrestle into your 50s?
No, I don't. No.
Do you want to have a match at 50?
No.
So you're saying there's only a few more years left then?
That's correct.
And by the time he recorded that interview with CVV, he was 47 or 46, okay? He was 46 years old. He turned 47 no, 40. He was 47, then turned 48, but now he is still 48 years old, and he's gonna turn 49 in June. Okay, so he still had a good year left in him, and the idea that he somehow came out on that one PLE, I believe it was Perth, yeah, Crown Jewel Perth. AJ Styles confirms that in 2026, that like he will retire, and that will be his final year. That's what he said. All right, that was his final, like, you know, this was going to be his final year. Do I believe that AJ Styles meant that in 2025, in the very 2026, in the very first month that he was gonna, you know, forced to be retired? Come on, man. You know, like, you can't convince me that is like something that he wanted. So what kind of respect is that, if you ask me? I didn't want to see AJ be, you know, like, go away and retire in front of this dead of a crowd and like in this poor of a buildup. If this was genuinely booked months in advance, this could have been a WrestleMania match, you know? Really, it could have been, right? Because the fact is, Gunther, I really believe he is not right now in the, you know, in the sphere of becoming a champion again. Yes, he did lose his title against CM Punk last year in August for SummerSlam, but that really didn't translate into him immediately coming back for that title. Instead, he competed in that Last Time Is Now tournaments, and now he's doing this against AJ Styles. So I don't believe Gunther is going to be rushed into a title picture. So that, you know, in return, that really means I don't believe the plans for Gunther were to rush him into Young Punk or something like that. Especially now that Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble, and Roman Reigns is a Raw guy. It's most likely going to be Roman, Young Punk at Mania, and we're going to work something out with Cody and Drew and Fatu. So what did we do with this retirement? Why did we not capitalize it to its fullest potential? Why not? Could have built this up months and months and months into 2026, especially if we fed into the whole announcement of his retirement that he's not going to be competing, you know, by the time he's 50, and 2026 is going to be his last year. What kind of a send-off is this, you know? They did it with Cena, and then they do it again with AJ Styles. So, come on. Can you genuinely blame the fans? But the panel is something that really intrigues me here. It says, Gunther defeats AJ Styles, AJ retires from WWE. Now, this could mean a few things. This could mean that AJ is going to go into TNA or somewhere else and maybe finish off his career there. But, you know, that doesn't seem to be the tone that Triple H has had in this panel. And so, Big E exactly asks this question to Triple H. Is, you know, AJ going to be gone from wrestling? Is he going to be a manager? Is he going to be a producer backstage? What is he going to do? Let's just hear it.
Has there been any discussion with AJ about any potential roles with the company post-career? Has he talked about whether it's coaching or producing?
We've had a lot of conversations on the off chance when this all came down. Obviously, we expected it later in the year. We had a lot of conversations about it. AJ is one of those people that absolutely wants to give back and be a part of this business. I don't want to speak for him, but the conversations that he had with me, he made it very clear that he was just done with the in-ring.
And so that is why, for me, it seems to be that he's officially gone from the ring. Why would AJ Styles want to go out in this way in the WWE, just to go and hit the indies, just to go to AEW or TNA and have a few matches? It doesn't really make sense. I highly doubt they can even pay him that much. And fairly to the WWE, there is no bigger platform for a wrestler than the WWE. So why else wanna, you know, go away and, you know, wrap up your career somewhere else? Like Edge did it. You know, I'm not a big fan of it, right? I'm not a big fan of AEW, Adam Cope. You know, it is what it is, but that's just my personal opinion. So if AJ Styles were to do that, it didn't, you know, seem to me that it would have really elevated his final years anyway. So the fact is, even Triple H just now said it, we expected him to retire, you know, later down in the year. Now, if this decision truly came from AJ Styles, and if AJ was like, look, Hunter, I'm going to sit you down, bro. I am officially done. I don't want to have another program with anybody else. Gunther is on this really, really mean streak right now. He's truly hated. How about you go out there and make him tire me? If that is truly AJ's wishes, I can respect it, but something tells me that it really wasn't the way that really went. So that is another big gripe we had from this event, and obviously the fans are just not having it, bro. Now, one positive thing from the event was obviously Drew McIntyre squashing that jobber, Sami Zayn. I mean, this put a smile on my face that went from ear to ear, and I loved it. I truly loved it. Seeing this guy get clapped around. I mean, I'm saying it really put a smile on my face. But I have to ask this question. Sami Zayn's entire career, his persona has always been, I am the underdog, right? I am going to be doing the stuff that people say is impossible. I'm going to defeat Gunther at WrestleMania and become the Intercontinental Champion and, break his 2 years and do all of that stuff. I get that is his character. And tonight he lost. Now he's 12-0 against Drew McIntyre. Now, I really feel as if they kind of squandered the retirement of AJ because it was obviously before this match, but more importantly, Gunther comes out as literally number 30 in the Royal Rumble. Why? Right? Because the idea is, okay, Gunther just retired AJ. He's massively hated right now. And Gunther, should have really let that win sink into the fans. And he kind of should have let people maybe seethe in that victory, right? They can really hate him for that. But they don't really get the chance to kind of mourn AJ. And, it just ends up to the end, like the 4 guys left in the Royal Rumble. And before you know it, Roman Reigns is like, facing off with everybody. And, one tosses the other, then it's Gunther and Roman going at it, and Roman tosses out Gunther. So that is my problem there. So like, why do we have to do that? This kind of makes AJ Styles' retirement feel almost overshadowed, And my question was then this, like, instead of just Gunther coming out, and the reality is Gunther from losing and being the second runner-up for the, I believe like last year was runner-up as well. The second time being a runner-up, I don't think this added more heat on him. I think all the heat he had was because he defeated AJ. He didn't have to come out. But another guy who could have come out was Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. I mean, they've had history, right? He's the honorary Uso. Sami Zayn, like, I think at the 2023 Money in the Bank, people were like glazing that event like, oh, it was cinema. Sami Zayn betrayed Roman and all that stuff. And if we were to have those two face off as the final 2 in the Royal Rumble, obviously we're going to know that Roman is going to win, whether it was Gunther or Roman as the last 2. The reality is the convincibility of how we can get to Roman winning isn't going to be greater with Gunther in it or Sami, because ultimately we know the end point. We're not going to get Gunther winning the Rumble. It's going to be Roman. So it could have been anybody in there, in all fairness. So why not have Sami come out and, fail again? And this can plant the seeds for next year. Maybe next year Sami can win in the Royal Rumble. And then he can go into WrestleMania in Riyadh and maybe beat the World Heavyweight Championship and get that title. And he can have a big celebratory moment. And, he can have a bigger kind of story. He can say, I lost my title match to Drew. Then I came out and I tried my best to win the Royal Rumble and I came up short, but now I've had enough. That kind of accentuates the underdog story of Sami Zayn. Now, honestly, Sami Zayn is this freaking perpetual underdog that always seems to win. And the fact that he got clapped against Drew McIntyre honestly seems so weird because it actually happened. I thought like, haha, something is going to happen. I gotcha. Right? And, something was going to kind of happen. Like Drew McIntyre was not going to win clean. That was, really what I expected. But, he actually did lose clean. So that was really surprising. And another big problem we had was this right here, bro. Like, before the Royal Rumble begins, are we genuinely going to have a freaking masked guy and come out and attack Braun Breaker? Like, what are we doing here anymore, man? This happened at the WrestlePalooza event where Becky Lynch came back, or like whatever the hell it was, Clash at Paris. And then we had it at the War Games. Then we had it at this. Then we had it at that. Then R-Truth comes out with the same thing. It really is annoying, and I believe everybody in this arena was just thinking to themselves, well, look, man, we're genuinely paying all of this money. The government of Saudi Arabia paid a lot of money for the WWE cover, and they can't even deliver a proper PLE. They gotta come out and ruin the PLE with a freaking run-in before the match even begins. That is where you kind of piss off a lot of fans, right? Because, come on, Braun Breaker and Obafemi, yeah, they can wrestle in the ring. But come on, dude. Like, Braun Breaker or Obafemi, they can't last 2 minutes against one another before the next entrant comes out. We could have tossed out Braun Breaker by entrant number 4 or 5 or something. So I really don't get why we got to keep doing this. And if the idea is that, like, Austin Theory is like double agent, wow. How really interesting can you really get that to be? Come on. Nobody cares anymore. Another area where a lot of fans were pissed off was this right here, bro. This freaking guy comes out, La Parka, and this is not even the actual La Parka, right? So we had about 4 luchadors. We had Mr. Iguana come out. We had La Parka, we had Penta and Rey Fenix, and I believe one more other guy. And it's like, damn, dude, like we got all these luchadors that are not gonna win. I mean, Rey Mysterio coming out is pretty cool. He's a legend. He can be in it, obviously. But the fact is, we can't have Finn Balor in the Rumble because La Parka is in it. Because La Parka had to get his work in. You know, I don't get that one bit. I think the only cool guy that came out was this guy right here. Royce Keys, you know what I'm saying? Or like as Triple H said, Ray's Keys or something like that. Come on, man. This guy can't even pronounce his own talent, bro. He said Ray's Keys and Javon Evans. Come on, man.
Moment for a lot of talent coming in the door.
All right, here we go.
Obafemi, Javon, Trick, Royce Keys, Lola.
Ray's Keys, Javon Evans. It's like, bro, does this guy even book, bro? You know what I'm saying? What the hell is going on, you know? So it just gets worse and worse because he doesn't, you know, he can't even pronounce the talent properly. And there's just this inherent, like, I don't know what it is. I don't want to call it hatred, but this just like neglect, okay? Like Drew McIntyre, he wins the title. Does he get a picture where Triple H is pointing the finger? Did Drew McIntyre get this picture? Or hell, I mean, Liv Morgan won the Rumble, right? And he definitely makes sure to take a picture with the Snow Bunny. But you go onto his Instagram, where is the Tribal Chief, bro? You know what I'm saying? Where the hell is the Tribal Chief, right? So he doesn't take a picture with Drew when he won the title, and then he also doesn't take a picture with Roman Reigns. So like, there's clearly like some bad blood with Triple H and Drew, Triple H and Roman. I don't know what it's like. It's just this continuous cycle of like, all right, this stuff is getting really boring. It's getting now. If I am a member of the board, I've got to look at this really intelligently. There is massive hatred towards Paul Levesque, Triple H, for the right reasons. Everybody's really upset with the product. And if you're The Rock or, you know, Ari Emanuel, head of TKO, you got to look at the situation and say, all right, if Triple H were to get replaced and if the storylines were to get better, is it really going to impact sales more? Yes, because more fans are going to be over. I mean, more wrestlers are going to be over. They're going to sell more merch, more revenue. You're not going to have empty arenas like we did right now. We're not going to have, you know, like, it's like people not willing to pay these crazy prices. You're going to make it so undeniably good to the point where you just have to go ahead and see it, right? So if, for example, next year, there's rumors going around for The Rock and Roman Reigns to face off in Rock's final matchup. Do you not believe that entire arena, stadium, whatever it might be, is not going to be packed out? Of course it will be. So I really believe that the only storyline that we can have that will somewhat make some sense or really be kind of good is going to be one where The Rock is going to come back and kind of book himself in his final match. And the reality is Triple H has to kind of report to the board, and The Rock is on the board of director members, right? So like, he kind of is his boss. So it's kind of unfair that the speculation for a good storyline has to come from somebody who is genuinely, you know, able to book for himself and is literally Triple H's boss. So that is going to be very sad to see. And if you are, you know, like Ari Emanuel, and you see the difference between when The Rock is not around and when he is around, and then you see why things are better with The Rock and when he's booking for himself comparatively to when he's not there, then you have to you really deduct the reasoning behind that, you know, bad fan reaction to just Triple H. That is really as simple as it is, okay? So that is the way that I feel about all of this. Royal Rumble truly was a horrible event. It didn't, for one, it didn't feel like the Rumble season. Number two, we didn't have a real winner. And, you know, Roman Reigns came out recently on an interview and he said, like, I've been gone for 2 years pretty much. And what have you guys built up in those 2 years? Nobody. It's still really Cody Rhodes. And, you know, you want to say, oh, yeah, but the title is on Drew McIntyre. But, you know, is the title really on Drew McIntyre? You know what I'm saying? So he kind of proved himself to be correct. Like, he came back and he won the Royal Rumble for the second time. You know, so, like, he says you haven't done anything in the last 2 years for new talent, and he comes back and he wins it, you know, point proven. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there was a talent that would have gone over, they would have gone over, but they didn't. So it was Roman again, proven. Like, you know, you proved this point, and maybe that is why Triple H didn't want to take a picture with him backstage, because there might be some heat going around, you know. So that requires a video all on its own. But as always, I have been a Heels Advocate, and I'm out.